What if I told you that everything you've been taught about reality is wrong? That what you perceive as solid, fixed, and unchangeable is actually just an illusion? It sounds crazy, I know, but quantum physics has already proven that matter isn't as solid as it seems, and that the universe responds not only to your actions, but also to your thoughts, emotions, and vibrations. So what does this mean in practice? It means your reality is malleable, and you have much more control over it than you might think. But here's the catch. Most people want to use the quantum world like a magic trick, thinking they're just positive. Thinking will solve everything, and that's exactly where they go wrong. True transformation doesn't happen with superficial desires. It happens with your vibrational frequency, with what you feel and believe on the deepest level. There's no point in repeating "I am rich" 1,000 times if internally you still feel fear about money or believe it's something hard to achieve. The universe doesn't respond to what you say. It responds to what you truly vibrate. And the most interesting part, the global elite, major entrepreneurs, and successful leaders have known this for a long time. They don't call it the law of attraction or the quantum world, but they understand that reality is influenced by mental patterns, emotions, and actions. They use symbols, strategies, and knowledge that most people ignore. The problem is that this information has never been widely taught, because a world where everyone masters this power wouldn't be so easy to control. So if you feel like you're always stuck in the same cycles, unable to move forward, it's not by accident. There's a collective mental programming that prevents you from accessing this knowledge in practice. But in this video, I'm going to show you how to break this cycle, how to use quantum principles correctly, and how to finally transform your reality without falling for the illusions that so many people spread out there. Now, before anything else, I need to ask you, are you ready to see reality as it truly is? Because after what I'm about to reveal, there's no turning back. Most people think the quantum world is something distant, reserved for physicists with complex formulas and abstract discussions. But the truth is, it's everywhere, in every particle of the reality we see, and even in those we don't perceive. Quantum physics isn't isolated in laboratories. It pulses in the movement of galaxies and the smallest atoms. Your body, your mind, your emotions, all vibrate at frequencies that interact with this invisible universe. Prosperity, like any other aspect of life, responds to these subtle vibrations. But here's the point no one tells you: reality isn't as solid as we've been taught. What we call the physical world is actually a field of probabilities that organizes itself based on our interactions. Think of a radio. There are thousands of stations in the air, but you only hear the frequency you're tuned into. Similarly, your life is a reflection of the frequency you emit, and the law of attraction operates precisely on this principle. The question is, what frequency are you tuned into right now? Quantum physics shows us that everything is interconnected, that there's no separation between matter and energy, between what we see and what we feel. Ancient tribes and civilizations like the Egyptians and the Mayans already understood this. Intuitively, they used geometric symbols to channel energy and alter states of consciousness. Today, science only confirms what these peoples knew millennia ago. If you think your life is chaotic and disorganized, ask yourself, what energy pattern are you feeding? The answer is closer than you think. Many believe that prosperity and abundance are just results of hard work and strategy, but they overlook that these elements are just the surface. The real power lies in the invisible structure of reality, in how you relate to the quantum field around you. If your mind is full of limiting beliefs and scarcity, that's what will be reflected in your world. On the other hand, if you learn to realign your vibrations, prosperity becomes inevitable. not because it's magic, but because it's the natural consequence of your internal state. Now, if everything is energy, why do so many people live trapped in patterns of failure and stagnation? The problem starts when we seek instant miracles in the quantum world without understanding its rules. The law of attraction doesn't work with isolated positive thinking. It requires coherence between emotion, intention, and action. But unfortunately, most still believe that simply wishing for something will make it fall from the sky. That's where the misconceptions about this universe begin. Many people hear about quantum physics and think they've discovered the magic lamp of wishes. They believe that just 5 minutes of positive thinking will suddenly attract money, love, and success without moving a muscle. But the quantum world doesn't work that way. It's not a magic wand that grants instant wishes. It's a field of probabilities that responds to the coherence between thought, emotion, and action. In other words, it's no use just wishing for something if internally you're still vibrating. Doubt, fear, or scarcity. The big mistake is wanting immediate results without real transformation. Many people read about the law of attraction, repeat affirmations in front of the mirror, and when nothing changes in a few days, they give up and say, "These things don't work." But stop and think. Would you take your car in for a tune-up and expect it to be brand new just because you wished it? No. You need to replace parts, adjust gears, and perform ongoing maintenance. With your mind and your reality, the logic is the same. Another point no one talks about: the quantum world doesn't give you what you want. It reflects who you are. If your vibration is one of lack, the universe gives you more situations that reinforce that lack. If you seek prosperity but internally believe that money is hard to earn or that rich people are dishonest, guess what? You'll always find obstacles to achieving wealth. Changing this requires mental reprogramming, and that's a daily journey, not a magic trick. A practical way to apply this is to start paying attention to how you feel when you think about your goals. If the thought of achieving something generates anxiety, it means you're vibrating lack, not fulfillment. The secret is to learn to feel good even before the result happens. Techniques like creative visualization, guided meditation, and subconscious reprogramming help adjust this frequency. The quantum world responds to what you feel now, not to what you promise yourself you'll feel in the future. The problem is that most people are stuck in the need to see to believe, when the true quantum game requires believing to see. This means trusting the process, keeping your energy aligned, and acting coherently. But here comes a big challenge: the influence of collective psychology. When the whole world operates within a materialistic paradigm, it's hard to sustain this alternative view of reality. And that's exactly why so many people get lost along the way. The human mind is like an antenna. It picks up signals from the environment and transforms them into beliefs, behaviors, and perceptions. The problem is that most of the time, this antenna is tuned to the wrong frequency. The concept of the quantum world, for example, has been completely distorted by collective psychology. What was meant to be a deep understanding of the universe's laws has turned for many into nothing more than exaggerated mysticism or an empty promise of instant wealth. And the most interesting part: this distortion happens because most people seek solutions externally, when true transformation always begins within. Just look around. We live in a world where scarcity is sold as an absolute truth. From a young age, we hear phrases like, "money doesn't grow on trees," or "life is a constant struggle." And without realizing it, we internalize these beliefs as if they were natural laws. But they're just social constructs. Quantum physics teaches us that reality responds to what we believe is possible, and the law of attraction reinforces that what we focus on grows. So what happens when billions of people focus on fear, crisis, and lack, that becomes the collective reality. Religions, ideologies, and belief systems also shape our perception of the quantum world. For some, it has become a modern version of the divine miracle. For others, it's nothing more than an absurd theory. But the truth is, the universe doesn't operate based on opinions. It works according to natural laws, like any other science. And these laws don't distinguish between those who believe in them and those who don't. Just as gravity continues to work, regardless of whether someone understands it, the vibrational structure of the universe continues to influence your life, whether you realize it or not. So how do you break free from this mental trap? The first step is to question who programmed your beliefs about money, health, success, and happiness. Was it your parents, school, media, society? If you've never asked yourself this, you're probably running on a mental software that wasn't even written by you. To change, start filtering the information you consume. Read books like The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy or Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Joe Dispenza. Both explain how to reprogram your mind to break free from the collective pattern and create your own reality. But that's just the first hurdle. Even if you understand these truths, there's still a powerful enemy that can pull you back into old programming: the influence of the media and the collective unconscious. And this is where the mental matrix begins to form. The reality you perceive isn't necessarily the real reality. It's a reflection of your mental programming and the narratives surrounding you. From the moment we're born, we're bombarded with information that shapes our perception of what's possible and impossible. The media, the educational system, institutions, all operate within a model that reinforces the idea of limitation. But here's the big turning point. This limitation isn't a fact, it's a construction. Have you ever wondered why the same families always hold power? Or why some people thrive while others remain stuck in scarcity even when working hard? The answer lies in the mental matrix. This concept has nothing to do with science fiction. It's real and present in your daily life. When you turn on the TV and only see news about crises, unemployment, and violence, your mind starts to believe the world is a place of chaos. When you spend hours on social media seeing perfect people and feeling like you'll never be enough, your self-esteem plummets. When you grow up hearing that those born poor die poor, that belief becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. What happens? You become a prisoner of an invisible system where your choices are limited by fear and the illusion of lack. But here's the point no one tells you. The matrix doesn't trap you physically, it traps you mentally. And the key to escaping it lies in how you think. Quantum physics teaches us that reality isn't fixed. It responds to your vibrational state and how you interpret the world. This means that as long as you continue to accept the programming of scarcity and limitation, you'll remain trapped in that cycle. But when you start to question, investigate, and change your frequency, your reality transforms. You don't see the world as it is, you see the world as you are. So how do you escape this mental prison? The first step is to reduce the consumption of negative information. This doesn't mean ignoring reality, but consciously choosing where to place your attention. Instead of starting your day with bad news, try listening to a personal development podcast like The School of Greatness by Lewis Howes, or reading a book like The Richest Man in Babylon by George S. Clason. What you feed your mind becomes the foundation of your vibration. Small daily changes create big transformations. Now, even when you start to break free from this programming, an intriguing detail emerges. Ancient civilizations already knew this secret and left clues everywhere. They used quantum symbols to manipulate energy and access higher realities. And interestingly, these same symbols are still present in various cultures today. Long before modern science, ancient civilizations understood that reality wasn't fixed, but could be shaped through energy and intention. The Egyptians, Mayans, Celts all used quantum symbols to channel power and align their vibrations with cosmic forces. These symbols weren't just art or decoration, they were codes to access elevated states of consciousness. The Ouroboros, for example, the famous serpent eating its own tail, represents the infinite cycle of creation and transformation. It symbolizes that everything is in constant renewal and that the end and the beginning are the same thing, and modern science confirms this. The concept of morphic resonance, studied by Rupert Sheldrake, suggests that certain energy patterns repeat throughout history and influence the collective consciousness. This explains why symbols like the flower of life, the tree of life, or Metatron's cube appear in different cultures around the world, separated by thousands of years. These geometric shapes aren't coincidences. They represent fundamental patterns of quantum physics used intuitively to harmonize energy and manifest realities. But how do you apply this in daily life? One of the most common uses of these symbols is through meditation and mental reprogramming. Many traditions use mandalas to focus attention and elevate vibrational frequency. You can start by printing a symbol like the Sri Yantra and observing it for a few minutes daily while visualizing your goals manifesting. Another powerful technique is using sacred geometry in your decor. Placing a Metatron's cube in your space can help balance the room's energy and promote mental clarity. And there's something even more intriguing. Even big companies use quantum symbols without people realizing it. The Volkswagen logo, for example, is a circle with interlinked V and W, a shape reminiscent of the flower of life geometry. Tesla's logo also has patterns that hint at toroidal energy, used to move subtle forces. This is because symbolism not only communicates an idea, but also influences the perception and energy around it. Those who understand this can direct their intentions more precisely. Now, if symbols can impact our vibration and perception, imagine what happens when you start to question everything you believe is real. The truth is, perception isn't reality, and often what you judge to be impossible only seems impossible because someone taught you it to be. But what if reality were much more malleable than you were led to believe? Reality isn't what happens, it's what you perceive happens. Two individuals can live the exact same situation and see it in completely different ways. While one sees failure, the other sees learning. While one sees crisis, the other sees opportunity. This happens because perception isn't objective. It's shaped by beliefs, past experiences, and most importantly, by how you program your mind to interpret the world. Quantum physics has proven that the observer influences the outcome. In other words, how you perceive reality determines the reality you experience. Now here's something no one tells you. The media and social networks sabotage your perception every day. The constant bombardment of negative news isn't a coincidence. It conditions your mind to focus on fear, scarcity, and hopelessness. And the worst part, your brain has a natural bias called negativity bias, which makes you remember negative experiences more than positive ones. This means that if you don't take control of your perception, you'll easily be dragged into narratives that reinforce a dark and hopeless world. But notice the paradox. While the news shows only crisis and collapse, people around the world continue to get wealthy, innovate, and transform their lives. Do these people live on another planet? Or have they simply trained their perception to see opportunities where others only see problems? The answer is obvious. The difference between someone who prospers and someone who feels stuck isn't in the external reality, but in how each interprets it. And how do you reprogram this perception? One of the simplest methods is to limit the consumption of negative information and replace it with content that broadens your worldview. Stop starting your day with tragedies in the newspaper and try watching inspiring talks like those by Joe Dispenza or Bruce Lipton. Read books like Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins or The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle to understand how your mind creates the reality you live in. Small changes in how you interpret the world alter your vibration and consequently what you attract. But this is where many people get stuck. Even when they start to change their perception, they soon find themselves pulled back into collective thinking. The problem isn't a lack of knowledge, it's the difficulty of sustaining this new vibration in an environment that reinforces the opposite. And it's precisely at this point that the key to unlocking the quantum world in everyday life becomes essential. Knowing that the quantum world exists and influences reality is a big step, but true transformation happens when you integrate this knowledge into your routine. What's the point of understanding that quantum physics responds to your vibrations if in daily life you remain stuck in the same limiting beliefs, habits, and emotional patterns? The most common mistake people make when they start studying this universe is maintaining the same lifestyle and expecting external changes. The quantum world isn't a philosophical concept. It's a mental technology that needs to be applied consistently. The first step to bringing this integration is to move away from collective thinking and embrace individuality. This means stopping the majority mindset and starting to deeply question the beliefs that govern your life. If everyone around you believes that life is hard and money only comes with a lot of suffering, why should you accept that as absolute truth? Quantum physics proves that reality is moldable and that your personal frequency can break collective patterns. But this requires the courage to be different and to create your own perception of what's possible. Another way to unlock the quantum world is through self-observation and emotional reprogramming. If reality responds to the vibration you emit, then your daily emotional state is the biggest indicator of what you're attracting. Practice mindfulness to identify unconscious patterns and use techniques like Ho'oponopono, which cleans limiting memories from the subconscious. If you find yourself always reacting with fear, insecurity, or frustration, it's time to recalibrate your vibration. Remember, your energy creates your reality, not the other way around. And here comes a fundamental point: aligned action with intention. Many people think that just visualizing a new reality will make it materialize. But true manifestation happens when thought, emotion, and action are in sync. Want to attract prosperity? Then, besides changing your mindset, start acting like someone who is prosperous. Organize your finances, learn about investments, study new skills that increase your market value. The quantum world doesn't reward intention without movement. It rewards vibrational coherence. Now, why do so many people start this process but give up before seeing results? Because they can't sustain the initial energy. In the beginning, motivation is high, but over time, when changes aren't yet visible, doubt, discouragement, and fear of failure set in. And that's exactly the next challenge we need to understand. Most people begin their journey into the quantum world with enthusiasm. They learn about vibrational frequency, start visualizing their desires, make positive affirmations, and in the first few days, they even feel like everything is aligning. But suddenly, challenges appear. Money doesn't come as quickly as they expected, external circumstances don't change instantly, and the old pattern of doubt starts to take over. What happens then? They give up. Returning to their old routine, they reaffirm to themselves, this doesn't work. But is the problem in the quantum world or in their inability to sustain the initial energy? The truth is, the biggest barrier to manifestation isn't a lack of knowledge, but a lack of consistency. The quantum world doesn't respond to momentary impulses, but to the prevailing frequency of your vibration. If one day you feel powerful, but the next you're full of fear and uncertainty, Your energy becomes unstable, and reality reflects that fluctuation. Imagine an athlete who trains diligently for a week and then goes a month without exercising. They might have willpower, but without continuity, they'll never achieve real results. With the law of attraction, the principle is the same. Another factor that sabotages the journey is the unconscious fear of success and transformation. It sounds strange, but many people want a better life while simultaneously resisting the necessary changes for it. The subconscious associates the comfort zone with safety, so any attempt at expansion generates internal resistance. Want a practical example. Someone desires prosperity but fears taking on new responsibilities or how friends and family will react to their growth. This energetic dissonance prevents manifestation from occurring naturally. So how do you stay aligned? First, develop vibrational discipline. Instead of relying on initial motivation, create daily rituals that sustain your elevated energy. Morning meditation, gratitude before bed, moments of silence to align your thoughts. Small accumulated habits create a consistent vibration. Second, practice active faith, acting as if the result is already guaranteed without needing immediate proof. This reinforces your confidence and prevents doubt from undermining your progress. The greatest test for those who want to live quantumly is maintaining a high frequency, even when reality hasn't yet reflected the change. And this test becomes even more difficult because our minds are programmed to repeat old patterns. This is the phenomenon of cognitive dissonance, which prevents many people from truly evolving. The human mind hates contradictions. Whenever there's a conflict between what we believe to be true and new information that challenges that belief, we feel internal discomfort called cognitive dissonance. And guess what? This mechanism is one of the biggest enemies of quantum transformation. For example, if someone has spent their entire life believing that money only comes with a lot of suffering, but starts studying quantum physics and discovers that prosperity can flow more easily, this new idea clashes with what they've always believed. The result? Resistance. Internal resistance is the brain's defense mechanism to keep you in the familiar, even if that familiar isn't the best for your life. When someone tries to change, the subconscious generates excuses. This is too good to be true. If it were that easy, everyone would do it. What if I fail and embarrass myself? This inner voice isn't rational, it's programmed by the fear of the unknown. And it's exactly this that makes many people abandon the quantum journey before experiencing real results. So how do you break this cycle? The first step is to understand that feeling resistance is a sign that you're evolving. Whenever your mind gets into conflict, instead of backing away, see it as an indicator of growth. The second step is to reprogram your subconscious through repetition. The brain learns through repetitive patterns, so the more you reinforce new beliefs through affirmations, visualizations, and actions, the more natural this new reality will become. Another powerful method is progressive exposure. If your mind rejects the idea of abundance because you've never experienced it in practice, start exposing yourself to that reality. Visit prosperous places, watch content from successful people, spend time with those who have achieved what you desire. The goal isn't to envy, but to normalize abundance in your energetic field. What once seemed impossible gradually becomes just the next logical step. But none of this works if you're stuck in illusions and false interpretations about the quantum world. True integration of this knowledge requires more than positive thinking. It requires alignment with natural and universal laws. And this is the fundamental principle that separates those who truly transform their lives from those who only dream of change. The biggest trap for those entering the quantum world is falling into illusions. Many people confuse the science of manifestation with a simple magical wish as if just thinking about something would make it appear in front of you. But the universe doesn't work with false promises. It follows natural and universal laws that are as immutable as gravity. You might not exactly understand how they work, but that doesn't mean they're not operating. And here's the big question. If you're not aligned with the truth of these laws, nothing you desire will manifest. The truth in the quantum world is simple. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. If your internal vibration is misaligned with what you seek, the universe has no choice but to deliver more of what's already in tune with your energetic field. That's why many people spend years trying to manifest wealth, relationships, or health but remain stuck. They're looking outward and waiting for something to change without realizing that the real work happens within. Another point few talk about is that the quantum world doesn't reward intention without action. It's no use visualizing a prosperous life if you maintain scarcity habits. It's no use wanting a healthy body if you eat poorly and don't move. The law of attraction isn't about waiting. It's about aligning thought, emotion, and movement. Joseph Murphy, in the classic The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, explains that your mind works like a fertile field. If you plant bad seeds, you'll harvest bad crops. If you plant good ideas and water them with action, your reality flourishes. But aligning with the truth requires an essential step: self-responsibility. Many people get frustrated with manifestation because they prefer to blame the government, the economy, family, or fate for their problems. But quantum physics doesn't work that way. You are solely responsible for your vibration and what you're attracting. Taking this control can be scary at first, but it's liberating. It means that if you change internally, everything around you will have to change too. Now the question remains, what are you going to do with this knowledge? Because understanding the truth about the quantum world isn't enough. It's how you apply it in your life moving forward that truly matters. Now that you know how the quantum world really works, there's only one question left. What are you going to do with this knowledge? Because understanding the theory is easy. The real challenge is in the application. Most people hear this information, get excited for a while, but soon return to old programming. And that's how they stay stuck in the same cycles of scarcity, limitation, and frustration. But what about you? Will you just be another person who learns but doesn't apply, or will you finally take control of your reality? If you really want to transform your vibration and start creating the life you desire, start now. Not tomorrow, not next week, but now. Do a test. For the next 7 days, practice mental reprogramming. Eliminate thoughts of scarcity, stop feeding on negative news, and focus on the energy you want to attract. Try making powerful affirmations every day. Visualize what you desire with full emotion and watch how your vibration begins to change. It sounds simple, but that's where many people fail. And here's a challenge. What's the first limiting belief you're going to reprogram? The idea that money is hard? That success is only for a few? That your reality is fixed and unchangeable? Write in the comments what belief you need to transform the most, and let's talk about it. Sharing is the first step toward change. If you want to keep learning about how to master quantum physics and align your vibration to attract prosperity, subscribe to the channel now and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any content. Here, I'll show you how to break free from the mental matrix and use the quantum world in a real and practical way. But remember, the choice is always yours. You can keep living on autopilot or awaken to the true nature of reality. What will it be?